Attention all students. Class is in session. With your hosts, Pat and George. That'll teach ya.
Hello and welcome to another episode of That'll Teach Ya, the podcast that aims to teach you all the things that school just did not. I'm your co-host Patrick Johnson, and with me I've got George. George, how are ya?
Mate, I'm magnificent today. I'm purling with excitement because we've got another phenomenal guest on this week. Lys Clark from Under the Bar Gym in Menai. And she's also got a Reformer Pilates studio recently opened in Illawong. Now, she's had a gym for about 4 years. Grown it to about over 200 members.
Sounds amazing, mate. I mean, this episode's
exciting.
going to be really, really good for anyone looking to get a lesson in how to balance work life, fitness, and family commitments. Also, if you're a PT out there at the moment, you're thinking about maybe opening a gym, or you want to get into the industry itself, there's going to be plenty there for you. Let's get stuck into it.
Let's do it.
That'll teach ya.
Alyssa, thank you so much for coming in and joining us today. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you so much for having me.
No worries.
No, it's really exciting when we get, someone from the local area to come on the podcast. We see you all over Instagram. You guys are doing a great job with your social media content. So it's nice to, meet the person behind that and learn a little bit more about Under the Bar. Take it away. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so my name's Lys. I own a group training studio in Menai called Under the Bar. I've also recently opened a Reformer studio in Illawong with my best friend of forever. So that's super exciting as well. So lots going on, but all good things.
Beautiful. I mean, that Reformer Pilates and Pilates in general is becoming
Huge.
massive now.
Massive.
I mean, they opened one under my place in Caringbah, in Life or something
Yeah, I
like
think
that.
there's a few of them around the shop.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks fantastic, but honestly, I always park out the front of my place, and in the mornings it's full. I can't park there anymore because everyone's in that little stretch on the Kingsway to get in.
so popular.
It's so popular overnight. It was like day one.
Yeah.
I gone, oh, surely it takes a while to take off, and the next day full. So I think there's a massive demand for it. Has it been hard getting it up and going? Or?
No, it's been so incredible. I think, like you said, the demand is definitely there. And I think unlike gyms, there's not as many Reformer Pilates studios as well, right?
Yeah.
The competition isn't as insane yet. I think it will get there. As more people get involved, people are loving it.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely something that I think people are going to get more into. And it is, let me tell you, it is humbling for someone who comes predominantly from a gym background.
Yeah.
I've fallen in love with Pilates in the last couple of years, and my goodness, you get someone who's super fit and strong from the gym floor, put them on a reformer and they just crumble. So it's awesome.
Well, I mean, like I was talking to Karsha before, who's filling in for Sam, our lighting man. Thank you, Karsha. And I was just saying Pilates to me looks like one of those things that looks really easy, but the second you do it, you go, oh my God.
I'd crumble.
Yeah, me too.
Hands down.
Yeah, it is. But it's so funny. It's one of those things that it is that, but then it's also suited for everyone. Like, it's very, it's recommended by physios for people with injuries and things like that. So it's an awesome form of exercise because it covers all bases, really.
So tell us a little bit more about Under the Bar. So that was obviously you started that first.
Baby.
Your baby. Yeah. How old is the baby at the moment?
The baby is about 4.5.
Yep.
I was a baby, when I started Under the Bar. So started in a small space, about 60 square metres in Alphas Point, which is home. I born and bred in Illawong. So I actually started it out of my mum and dad's garage.
Oh,
How cool.
good.
Yeah, super, super blessed with
Humble beginnings.
So blessed with such a supportive family. I was at university doing exercise sports science and working at a couple of gyms, and the plan was to do physio. Decided that it wasn't for me, and basically said to my parents, like, give me a year to like build this business, and if I open a gym, great. If not, I'll go back to physio and I'll go back to uni and do a master's. They are so supportive. They're both business owners themselves, so I feel like it was very much in my blood. Did it from mum and dad's garage for about a year and a half. Was just doing one-on-ones, doing like 60 PTs a week.
Wow.
Wow, that's a
And,
lot for
just
a
pumping
PT.
them
That's
out.
a little bit above the average.
Yeah, but cheap as chips back then, that's for sure. Just trying to get people in the door. And then was running Pilates classes, just mat work, beside their pool on the deck, 2 nights a week. And then, after a year and a bit, found the space in Alfred's Point. And we were there for about a year and a half before we upsized to the Menai space that we're now in.
Wow.
right.
So how many clients do you have now?
We hover around the 200 client number for solid like group members. On top of that, we've got PTs and casuals and things like that.
Yeah.
But that's sort of our happy spot that we sit at. But yeah, when we were at Alfred's Point, the space really was only suited for like 50, 60 members. We hit 130. We were renting space off the dance school next door to run additional classes.
It's a good problem to have, though.
Yeah, it was, but it quickly became a problem that really needed to be addressed. So got really lucky with the space where we are now. It's stunning. So,
And is it a mixture of like open gym? Do you have morning classes, night classes, all that sort of stuff? Is that how it works? Yeah.
So we've got 3 early morning ones. Then we do open gym for a couple of hours. So there's always someone there to help you out, but it's not actual classes. The program will be on the board and it's free reign. And then we do a 9:30 class and then start back up in the afternoon with open gym again, and then a couple of night classes, which are going on now.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So you've taken it from, 60 odd clients in the backyard by the pool, basically, and you've now got upwards of 200. How many trainers have you got? Do you have a big support staff on file now? How does it work?
Yeah. So at UTB, there's 10 of us. There's myself and 2 others who are there pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
And then another 7 or so so we have trainers that come in for specific things. So we have a couple of like Pilates and bar instructors who are doing other things, studying, dance teaching, that sort of thing. And then also have a couple of casuals that also have other careers in real estate or construction as well.
Do you find the industry, does it go up and down in terms of new clients and stuff that you're coming to get in?
Yeah.
Or is there busy times a year?
Definitely. Right now, June, July, Europe is a nightmare for gyms.
Yeah.
It's worse than Christmas, but it's fine. It's holds. They're coming back.
They're coming back with a lot of weight put on from lots of eating. So
Treated their body for shit.
Yeah, prepare yourselves for a slaughter of fitness coming back.
So it definitely comes in waves. But as long as you've got that client base that really support you and love you, that's what matters, right? Yeah.
Do you find is most of the clients that you started with, those 60 that you were talking about, have pretty much all of them converted to under the bar clients as well?
Most have.
Yeah,
I've still got such a really tight group of people that I've trained for. Yeah, since before under the bar, it was Fit by Lys in Mum's house. So that's going on like 6 years that I've had like these certain women train with me. So they're very, very special place in my heart, those ones, that's for sure. Yeah.
What, that obviously is probably formed the basis of the culture there. What other things do you guys do to really cement that culture? What's the image you like to project to the wider community that sort of differentiates you from other gyms in the area?
I think community is a word that's used a lot in fitness.
Yeah.
And I actually think that's epic. It's awesome that there's so many studios around that are based around community and that so many clients feel that they're part of a community. That's just awesome, right? I feel that we do that really well. We're so ingrained in our clients' lives and they're so ingrained in ours.
Yeah.
And it's so much more than turning up, training, going home. Like we really are quite connected. We'll often do events and things like that. We hold like fundraisers. And most of the time they are based around our members and experiences that they've been through.
That's awesome.
Which is my absolute favorite part of it. Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's really hard to motivate people to come consistently to a gym. So I feel like when you do a community-based thing like that and have those events, it really builds, 1, your brand, and 2, people's confidence and enjoyment level of a gym. It's not just you're going there to
that's
work
exactly
out.
right. You're not just going there to work out. It's going there because it's almost like a second family. It's another community, and I 100% believe in that. I think that's
it's
key.
that. And it's also, in my mind, like entertainment, right?
Yeah.
Like one thing I think we do really well, we go above and beyond with that sort of stuff. Like we've got a challenge on at the moment. It's called Game Changer Challenge. The whole thing is game themes. Like we were playing beer pong the other night, no beer, in a class, flip cup. We're playing Jenga in classes. Like I know it sounds silly, but throwing in little fun elements, it makes it so much more than just going to the gym, smashing yourself, going home and feeling wrecked.
Yeah.
It makes it like, oh, that was awesome. I still got such an amazing workout, but it was fun. I did it with my friends. I met new people. And I think that's what really sets studios like UTB, because there are others that do it really well as well. That's what sets us apart.
Ever since you were a kid, did you want to open up a gym? Like, what was the main motivation behind starting UTP?
No, I did not. I studied Japanese in high school, went on exchange, wanted to move to Japan and be an English teacher. So different.
Yeah.
Then I wanted to do physio.
Yeah.
Then I didn't want to do that. Wanted to do OT, wanted to do speech path. I changed my mind a million times.
As you do.
Yeah. And it took me... I've always been active. I love sport like most Aussie kids.
What was your favourite sport growing
I was a netballer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, it wasn't until I went to uni, started working in gyms, started doing placement in gyms that I found a love for it. But, yeah, it took a bit.
Beautiful.
No, I feel like there's a lot of, most guests that we get on besides Katie, our accountant, she was the only one I think we've spoken to that knew that she wanted to do accounting from the start, which was bizarre.
I think it was earlier than that.
Yeah.
I think it was 6 or 7 or something.
But, I don't think anyone else has had a calling for one thing, but I feel like, especially in your industry, having those different experiences of ups and downs and changes is actually quite beneficial to your clients, because I'm sure as you're training them, a lot of those people are going through the exact same sort of roller coasters in their own life. So to be able to have that support physically with a trainer in a gym and emotionally, I think balances itself really well.
Yeah, well, I think I always say to anyone starting in the industry, the hardest part of being a trainer is not teaching someone how to do a deadlift. The hardest part, well, not the hardest part, but the most important part is connection and communicating with clients and forming that relationship. That's what makes someone stick around, and that's what makes you relatable. You need to be relatable. You need to be able to have those conversations and be there for them through.
Because you're spending 45 minutes an hour with them at a time.
Yeah,
you're not just going to stand
we
there and
are
watch them.
not licensed therapists, but sometimes we need to be. You really do. You have to be able to be there for someone and be able to connect with people. That's number one for anyone going into the industry.
On that point of connection and relatability with your clients, I think one of the big lessons I wanted to get out of you on this podcast was a lot of people listening are very busy. Fitness doesn't always fit in. They can't always get to a class or get a gym. They might have small children. They might be working very long hours, shift work, all that sort of stuff makes it really hard to go to a conventional gym. What would be your top tips for someone? How do they stay healthy when they're maintaining a heavy work-life balance, or if they've got intense family commitments, or, they just struggle to find time to make fitness their priority? What would you say to those people?
Yeah, so first of all, everyone's situation's so different and there's definitely not a one-size-fits-all approach. Shout out to my teammate Tara. She always says it's about discipline, not motivation, because we will always be asked, how do you stay motivated? You don't. There is no way that you're going to be motivated to get up at 4 o'clock every morning and train. But if you have the discipline that, no, I want to do this and I need to do this for myself, that's what gets you through. I think watching, and we have such a range of members at UTB and at To The Core, and you meet so many people who live such busy lives and make it work. When I have so many incredible women that are mothers of 3 working a full-time job, and they still make time to, even if it's twice a week, to get to the gym. And
that's awesome.
The lesson that they're showing their kids in doing that is incredible, right? So I think it comes down to time management, and once again, like I said, that will look different for everyone. But I, as a business owner of 2 businesses, will I'm lucky because I work in a gym, so it's right in front of me.
Yeah,
I was
that's
gonna
cheating.
say-
Yeah.
I think half the time the hard thing is for me is getting
Is
there.
getting there,
Yeah.
yeah. So I've got that barrier ticked off. But I plan my sessions into my week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I plan my work into my week, like I plan anything. So it's all about scheduling that and then having the determination to make sure that and the discipline to make sure that that happens and that that's a priority to
Yeah.
you. But priorities also come in ebbs and flows, right? There'll be times where training will be a massive priority and other times where things will take over. And I think it's knowing that that's okay, but then trying to get back on track in whatever way you can and using help that's available to you to do that. Getting a trainer,
Definitely.
joining a gym where you feel connected to those trainers as well.
What other sayings has this Tara
No,
got? That
she's
was quite
good.
that was quite
She's
a
good.
little wealth of wisdom
I
there.
know.
We
Shout
might
out Tara.
reach out to her to get on our
Yeah,
show
get her on
next week.
next.
Carter,
Yeah,
can we
she's
get on
good.
to Tara, please? The Yoda of Under the Bar
Yeah,
with her,
yeah,
with her
she's
sayings. No, it's always good when you've got. Obviously, you're quite motivated, but it's good when you've got other members of the staff that share your passion and
100%.
you know. With things like that, you're on the same level. So it's not like if one person has one person training them, it's a whole different alignment to what the gym's trying to achieve. So I think that's really important in the business and for your clients as well.
Yeah, team is everything. Like that is my number one thing for if there was any advice for people going into a business like this, team is absolutely everything. Everyone I've had in, whether they're still here or not, has had such a positive impact on the business, and that's what allows me to have any form of balance. Like my team are just amazing. Super grateful.
So that's good. So on that, so Under the Bar's been going for about 4 years or so now. What's the biggest challenge you've faced during that time?
I think the easy answer is COVID, but
Yeah, we're banning
I feel like
COVID.
that's too of an opening.
We're banning COVID
Yeah.
now.
no, that's fine. But I think it's adapting, and obviously that word comes into it.
Yeah.
But it was starting my business at 21, and then less than a year later that hitting, and then I always say that was the best and the worst thing that ever happened to my business, because after that there was such a fitness boom, right? We've all seen it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's huge. And then open a new space, and then it happened again. And obviously that was scarier. There's more overheads. It was like a bigger deal. That and then team management I would say is tricky, but when you get it right, it's magic. So I think that was a big
Do
thing for
you
me.
feel like doing that at such a young age, do you feel like you had to trade off any of your youth to be as successful as you are now? Because I'm sure there's heaps of people in the same boat as you.
Good
They're
question.
sort of like planning ahead. They're going, I could potentially get here, but is it worth not going to Europe for a year backpacking, or is it worth, having to put in these grinding hours and not focusing on things like relationships and things like that?
Yeah, I think that's why I'm so glad I went and did my uni degree. There's definitely ways you can do what I'm doing without it, but those 3 years allowed me to do that. I did all my uni stuff. I still went on a 3-month backpacking trip the day of my last exam, and then came back and then started the business from Mum's garage. So it was very.
And you're also recently engaged, so the relationship box is ticked there.
That
So
was there then as well.
don't listen to them, people. You can do it all if you list from Under the Bar.
Super lucky. Yeah, so I still feel like I've been able to do that. Obviously, there's something like I haven't been to Europe every June, July. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But that dreaded word did get in the way of some of that as well,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
but I feel like I'm glad I did it at that age as well, because now I'm at a spot where I can go and do that again, because it's now at a spot where I've got the team behind me that I feel so comfortable with leaving them in charge.
And that's how it should be. That's the ideal point.
Can I interrupt? You mentioned the word team a lot, right? And it seems like you rely on that quite a lot. I would love to know your process. It doesn't have to be the way to go, or it's just the way that you did it, but the process of selecting your team and having that ability to find like-minded people. Like, what was that process like? Say for people listening, trying to do it right now.
Yeah, I love it's not always the answer, but I love hiring people that not necessarily I have to know, but that someone knows. I feel like it's just such a, okay, that person's backing them. That's always, and I've gotten really lucky with that a couple of times.
It's gotten rid of that mystery.
Yeah. but-
Nothing worse though when you put your recommendation on the line and they end up being a complete flop, because I've been burnt like that before.
Yeah.
When we
He's sitting
hired
next to
George.
you.
Why did I was just sitting
knew
here,
that.
just waiting for that. I was like, I could almost take the words out of his mouth.
But on top of that, the other one, like the people I've hired that I haven't known and that no one's known, Tara, we just spoke about. My number one thing was I always get them in studio and around the clients. And if they connect with clients straight off the bat, that is the biggest win for me. That's what makes me go, okay, people person. Like I said before, I can teach anyone to teach someone how to deadlift. I can't teach someone how to connect with people. So that's the number one thing for me. Get them in the space, make sure that they can do that, and the rest can be taught.
I used to manage at the Star, and one of the criteria on the job interview when we were hiring new staff was, did they smile? You know, and I feel like that's quite important. Often a hard or harsh criteria, because a lot of people were quite nervous and
You smile
they
too
don't
much,
smile,
or they don't smile. Yeah,
I feel like it's a good reflection of when you're uncomfortable or under pressure, especially in roles like, they were doing bartending, whatever. But if you're client facing, like a lot of your staff would be, that attitude and that smile is something that rings true. So if you've got that around, I think it only just boosts your brand and the experience for your clients.
Sure.
Good question, Carter. Thank you for chiming in on that.
quite like when Carter chimes in with a couple of questions. It's good.
Yeah, there might be a host spot available for you soon.
Let me guess, I'm getting the boot.
No, I'm quitting.
Don't give me an inch.
No, I think outside of that, I think back to the lesson part of thing. I mean, you gave really good advice on discipline as a forefront of how people stay motivated and things like that when they're working long hours. Is there any other sort of tips or things to keep in mind, little small things I'm after that people can do when they are time poor, i.e. going for a 5-minute walk? What does that sort of do to one, your physical health, and two, your mental health? Because I'm sure there's a big connection between the both.
Yeah, any movement is great. Like if people can get out for a 10-minute walk, that is magic. I think also another great thing about the fitness industry at the moment, it can be really good and really bad, is how accessible it is from home, online, right? So there are so many companies out there that offer online training and things that you can do from your bedroom, from your lounge room, right? So, and that was one great thing that came out of COVID for the fitness industry and for people who are time poor and maybe they're super busy at home and there's 4 days in a row where they just like cannot get to a gym.
Yeah.
There's so many options. And like you said, going for a walk, any movement is great. So just doing what you can, and that will look different for everyone, and that's okay. And being, well, like you said, with mental health, like being kind on yourself with what you can achieve, and always just, being grateful for any movement that you can get, because it's all so good for your mental health. Just moving your body, the change, you'll feel it. As soon as you exercise, you feel so much better.
For anyone out there looking to get into the industry, or someone who's new to the industry wants to open up a gym, like that doesn't know where to start, what would you recommend to start with? Do you have any sort of
This is
blueprint?
parents' garage.
Yeah, honestly. But genuinely, it's starting small. Like for me, starting small, and then taking small risks from there. Another saying, I literally have it tattooed on me: do everything before you're ready. I feel like
Did Tara give you that
she
one?
didn't give me that one. But I feel like you want to take small steps, but also I never, even when I opened the first studio, I was like, I'm not ready. Do it.
Yeah.
When it came to upsizing it 7 times the size, no way. How am I going to do that? Do it. So it's risk taking, but within reason. I think I love
measured.
that. Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that I did build it up slowly the way I did, so that even though there was a risk, it was always, mitigated with that.
You sort of, I guess, telling people that, hit your straps, like do your time, perfect your art in terms on a smaller scale, and then that risk is mitigated. You wouldn't come in and start with a big gym like Under the Bar, or you saying go for it.
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't,
but each their own. Like people do it, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I did it the way I did it, because I've learned so many lessons with every step. Like I feel like if I went straight into what I'm doing now, I'd just be like chaos.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me in like the lessons is learning to delegate along the way. Like there's no way I could
Always
run
the
my
hardest
business without delegation, and I was shocking at that. No one could do anything better than me.
Yeah, that's right. It's
Absolutely
the
not
hardest thing.
true, right? So many things I've learned along the way through doing those small steps that have gotten me where I am.
They're different roles, right? Like you're a personal trainer, you're a trainer, but then with Under the Bar, you're a manager. Really, that's your job, I guess. Majorly is to oversee, and a big part of that is delegation, and there's skills that you need to learn outside of fitness if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, big time.
So we're talking about delegation as a big thing. Obviously, one of the main areas of the business that I'm not sure if you delegate it, but that needs to be addressed separately to training, staff management, is social media. And your marketing and your advertising, which is so prevalent in the fitness industry. How do you go about doing that with Under the Bar?
Yeah, delegating is right. I did it all myself at the start, and when I look back at what I did, I laugh. It's definitely not my strong suit. Ash, my business partner in the Reformer studio, she's amazing at it. So she was actually doing a lot of it for Under the Bar before we opened to the core. Then since she's opened that new business with me, she manages that, and now every team member it's very just set now. Every team member has their things that they post. But in terms of overall, just what we try to achieve in our marketing, it's, making sure that the community is very clear in that. So always showing, people's faces, different people's faces, things like that, like showing that who we actually are. Showing the trainers, I think, is really important, because that's who you're going to meet when you first come in. You don't want to always just see the same 3 people on social media. So I think it's just like giving a really big overview of everything that we do, all of our members, all of our trainers as well. Yeah, it's not my strong suit, that's for sure.
And
someone else's job.
It's a hard thing as well, especially when you're doing it yourself. And we've probably seen it even in our work lives too. But consistency is always the key. That's the hardest thing. When it's one little thing that you've got part of managing the whole show, it's always a hard thing.
Yeah, always trying to come up with something
It is
fresh.
like when you look back at some of the old stuff you did, like you said, it's like reminds me of looking back at an old Facebook status memory that comes up from
Facebook, MySpace?
12 years ago today, and it was
Bieber.
like for a TBH or something like that,
Oh, that makes you cringe.
Oh, so hard.
Seriously, when I look at how I launched like UTB Outfits Point versus how we launched to the core, for example, the Pilates studio, it's like, oh my goodness. But it worked.
But it's
We're
worked.
here, so
It's
all that
worked.
matters.
So
Lys, now, a bit of a change of pace in the spirit of education and the podcast, and that'll teach her. We're going to go for 3 quickfire questions in relation to you back at school. So
I'm gonna
Patrick,
kick
do you want
it
to take it
off.
away?
What was your worst subject at school?
Science, and I ended up doing a science degree. So that was
Right.
shocking. Bad choice.
Sounds like a recipe for disaster.
What was in your lunchbox?
Well, in the theme of educating people or kids on what you should be doing in fitness, I had no idea, and I would get a barbecue chicken from Coles and take it in the Coles barbecue chicken
in the
bag.
carry bag?
Yeah, in the carry bag. And that would be lunch, because I had no idea. I thought I was hitting my protein.
100%. I was more of an up and go man, but get me
That
protein.
would be a little bit easier than the barbecue chalk, but it did the job.
Since you're such a science whiz, I'm going to ask you, on the periodic table, what element is potassium and what's the symbol for it?
Oh my God. P?
It's K.
I thought isn't it like PT? No?
I don't know.
All right, we definitely
Doesn't
know
know the answer.
I found science.
It's K. Yeah.
Carter, find this out.
Can't edit this out, so I don't look like I didn't know.
You're good. It's K.
It's K.
We're
Okay.
good.
Got it. Lock it in.
Knew it. So, Lys, I think that just about does it for today. It's been really awesome talking to you.
Yeah.
I'm sure people would have got a lot out of that.
Definitely.
So,
I know so. People would have thoroughly enjoyed it because we did.
Yeah.
If they do want to look at potentially joining either to the core or under the bar, how do they do that? What's it like? Is it a difficult process? Talk us through that.
no, so we do a free week at Under the Bar and a 3 for free. So 3 days for free at To The Core. You can get both of them on our social media. So To The Core Studio for the Pilates Reformer and then Under the Bar _ on Instagram for Under the Bar.
You reckon you can do anything with these two rigs?
Yeah,
Get them into
let's go,
shape.
let's go.
It might be a
Gotta
hard
get you on the
task. We don't want
reformer.
to brain
Think I need a
damage
bit more
you
than
with the
reformer.
before and after.
Yeah, I want to humble you on the Reformer.
You guys do liposuction at all? No, that's great. We'll make sure that's all in the show notes as well.
Most definitely. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thoroughly
so
enjoyed
lovely
it.
to meet you.
Our pleasure. Likewise.
So that concludes another episode of That'll Teach You. It was an awesome episode, George. You know, we went through everything from
Great.
motivation, balancing work life, how to start, how to get into the industry. Plenty for everyone in there. A great show.
Definitely, mate. Big thank you to Lys, taking up her time, sharing her wisdom. Big thank you to, of course, our listeners and viewers out there and our team. And if anyone wants to get in touch with Lys or her former Pilates studio gym, all her socials, contact information will be in the show notes.
Yeah, and a big thank you to Tara for her words of wisdom. We
forget
might
Tara.
see if we could get her on for a cameo. But if you did like that content, guys, get in touch with us via our Instagram. Send us a message if you've got any ideas or lessons that you want to learn. And remember, that'll teach you.
That'll teach you.